Hi everyone, this is Catherine. 2 weeks ago we covered conflicts. I hope you all watched the video and learned a thing or two about how conflicts, especially for punctuation usage, can be pretty useful when working with Eclipse. It will just make you that much more real-time ready. Following in the footsteps of conflicts, last Thursday we talked about slop strokes. The two are very closely connected and I'm going to explain to you just why that is. Before we get into that though, I first wanted to review some of the things that we discussed regarding conflicts. In particular, I was focusing not only on how conflicts can help with punctuation in general, but more specifically how it applies with nouns of address. Up here you can see my dictionary entry for sir with the 4 different conflict choices, with the comma placed before, after, on either side, or without entirely with the word sir. I'm going to open up a transcript that I prepared where you can see that I tried it out in some sentences and it resolved very well. Sir at the beginning of the sentence. If I click on it, you can actually see where I've written sir and then would you please without even having to worry about the comma, and it was inserted correctly. Also at the end of a sentence and even in the middle of a sentence. Now if you look further down, you can see that it even works with doctors in terms of the noun of address, the beginning of the sentence and at the end. I didn't make too many more examples of it, but that's just to give you a sense of it. So let's look at how the doctor entry was defined to work the same way as sir. If y'all received my follow-up email, I actually included the correct syntax to use for maybe 6 different nouns of address that would work the same as sir. Here's doctor, for example. This is really important to notice this first part of the definition. I put it in a Word document to get a better look at it. There it is. Squiggly bracket equals, and then the steno outline of what you want the Eclipse program to draw information from, and then squiggly bracket. I'll explain that a little bit better. Essentially, when you're defining a slop stroke using this syntax, squiggly bracket equal sign steno outline, notice this is sir, it is telling Eclipse, kind of reading like this. When it sees the steno of dr in your dictionary, and it's going to look for the definition, before it even gets to all this information right here of different conflict choices, the first thing it sees is, oh, this stroke kind of equals this stroke. Okay, well, what's inside of that stroke? Let's take another look. Double clicking on it. This isn't so important about what all these are. Of course, if I write dr, I'm not going to get sir. But what it is going to do is draw all of the AI data context, or the AI rules, so that it does know how to select the correct conflict in the case of doctor with the commas all around it. So going back to my list of all the different instances where I use the slop stroke with sir with different nouns of address, just think of it as using slop strokes for quote-unquote like-minded conflicts. What do I mean by like-minded? That means conflicts that pretty much use the exact same rules every time. Again, I keep focusing on the nouns of address because I think it's the most straightforward and very useful example to use slop strokes. At this point, I want to use the term master conflict when talking about slop strokes, just to reiterate exactly how slop strokes work. Again, sir was my master conflict. I decided that it would be such because it had the highest number of AI rules when I was training it. I felt it became so watertight, I could then use this master conflict as the base from which all these other examples of noun of address could piggyback off of those AI rules. This saves a lot of time because let's say after you've mastered one conflict, it's working and resolving very well for you, you might notice other like-minded conflicts. Again, Your Honor, or Officer, or Ma'am, or Counsel, etc. And instead of having to think, well, darn, now I have to teach all these guys 40 rules every single time. Nope. You can just use the slop stroke syntax to automatically apply all the AI rules of master conflict to them. Now I want to talk about another way that you can use slop strokes, or an expanded way that you can use slop strokes as far as nouns of address go, with a job dictionary. So with a job dictionary, a very common entry you're going to have are names, right? I've already gone ahead and opened up what I just simply called prac for practice. It's an ongoing real-time transcript that I'm working with. If I click on F9, I can bring up the list of dictionaries that are being applied. Of course, my main dictionary, a job one that was automatically created. I should have noticed that. But for the sake of this video, I made one called prac underscore. Let's take a look at what that one looks like. I click it to open it. Oh, I already had it open. That's why I said to. Let's go to it. I just put in a quick little one, Mr. J, which I want to be Mr. James. Maybe he's the name of the attorney. And I'll definitely want his name to come up correctly in different sorts of statements, throughout the transcript as he's being addressed. I defined it simply as a conflict in the exact same order that I've been doing for my master conflict, right? Come at the beginning and then after, on both sides and without. I made sure to include my slop stroke syntax for the correct master conflict. Remember, it's sir. Now, what's important to note is that if you definitely want your new job dictionary entry to use the master conflict, that master conflict dictionary entry has to be inside the job dictionary. As you can see, we're inside of prac underscore, so this is the job dictionary, and I actually just copy and pasted the original sir master conflict entry into this one. Now, let's see how it works correctly. Let's take a look at my prac transcript. Remember, it has that job dictionary applied to it that includes the new Mr. James conflict noun of address. I went ahead and I did some sample sentences to again show it works just as well as the master conflict of sir. Mr. James, comma, how are you? Wait, comma, Mr. James, period. Again, at the end. Your background, Mr. James? And it would also work right in the middle. The court might say, please wait. Mr. James is speaking. And there it works without any commas, which is absolutely perfect. For this video, I've been focusing almost primarily on using slop strokes with conflicts, only for nouns of address. But if you find that slop strokes are working with you and you feel well versed in them, then you might want to consider using them for other like-minded conflict families, we can call them, such as little filler words of okay, or you know, well, naturally, no, and yes. I might make another separate video where I use this better, because to be honest, I'm still trying to work those out to work really, really well. But in summation, just wanted to go over the main points when it comes to slop strokes. First of all, the syntax, which again is the squiggly bracket, equal sign, this is very important, and remember it's the steno outline of your master conflict from which you want to apply the AI rules to the other like-minded conflicts. I know that some people might forget this point and simply put, well, let's say I wanted to equal my sir, I'll just put SIR. That's not going to work. It has to be the steno outline. So it would be SEUR, as I showed before. Also, when you're making other like-minded conflicts for slop stroke usage, make sure that you definitely put these conflicts in the same order as your master conflict. If they're not in the same order, you're just going to confuse Eclipse all over the place and it's never really going to get anything straight. Oh, I should mention at this point, when it comes to the AI rules, if you click on any of these definitions that have the slop stroke at the start, you'll see that they themselves don't have any AI data. It's in fact zero all across the board, because all of the AI rules are all funneling back to that master conflict of sir. And if you were to use these in the transcript, and let's say Eclipse wasn't getting it right in some instances, and you end up training it and teaching it a new rule, that rule is going to go back to the original sir and be added to the list. But of course, when used, it will then apply to all of these. That's an interesting note regarding where the rules go. And the last little bit is about using slop strokes for job dictionary entries in the case of, let's say, attorneys' names. It's important that, again, you definitely place the different conflict choices in the same order as your master conflict, and be sure that the master conflict dictionary entry is inside of the same dictionary as the job one. If you really felt so inclined, I could even pluck this one and put it in my main dictionary because my SIR one is there already. Wherever they are, if it's in main or job or a different job dictionary, just make sure that they occupy the same space so that they can communicate well. That's pretty much everything when it comes to slop strokes. This video is a little bit shorter than I thought, but I hope that I just got to the point of what's really important when it comes to slop strokes. Thank you so much and good luck.